What's up, Blasters? It's Mippy here. Today we're diving into what has widely been considered the top endgame rogue build in the past seasons in Diablo 4, Death Trap. In Season 11, it still reigns supreme as its high DPS, insane mobility and tankiness is unmatched. This season, gearing it up to hit all the breakpoints required has become even easier, and this build can absolutely hammer through Helltides, Infernal Hordes, Pits, and bosses with ease. In this video, I'll talk you through the core mechanics, the best in slot gear and aspects, the skill setup and how to play depending on the content. Whether you're speed farming, pushing high tier content or just starting out. Let's get into it. Alright, so what is Death Trap Rogue and why does it matter? The build revolves around the skill Death Trap, which pulls in enemies and deals great damage. It's fast, it's powerful, and it's versatile, and it has been so for the previous seasons as well. It has incredible DPS, and Death Traps can wipe out large packs of monsters and melt bosses quickly. And with its great mobility, with constant dashing, Death Traps pulling, it's so easy to fly through the areas and decimate any monsters quickly. It also has great survivability and tankiness. Given the right setup, you can stay alive even in challenging content. But all this power comes with a few drawbacks as well. It's rather gear intensive, and albeit less than so in previous seasons, it still requires specific uniques, affixes and masterworks and tempers. It does need a lot of resource and cooldown and attack speed breakpoints that it has to hit, and without getting to those, you won't really get the spammable loop. But fear not, I have made an all-in-one rogue calculator to help you out with that. It's incredibly easy to use by simply inputting your values after you made a copy, and the calculator even tells you how to fix your shortcomings. In short, this is a high investment but also a high reward build. Here's what you'll want to chase to make the build pop. Scoundrel's Leathers, this is what turns Death Trap into a core skill and ultimate skill simultaneously, enabling the full power of the build. Beastfall Boots is vital for energy restoration and cooldown management. Eyes in the Dark is important to make Death Traps spring immediately due to its trap arm time reduction. You want aspects that boost your damage via the stun grenade synergy, enabled from Trix's aspect. It allows Death Trap to benefit from other multiplicative stun grenade bonuses. These come from Aspect of Surprise, Aspect of Artful Initiative, and the Opportunist aspect. Aspect of Apogeic Furor, which is imprinted on the bow, increases your damage with every subsequent cast of Death Trap. We also use Vehement Brawler's aspect to give extra ultimate skill ranks and a damage boost after casting Death Trap. Frostbitten aspect is used to freeze enemies with our stun grenades. To fulfill our defensive and stat point needs, we socket emeralds in our armor and weapons. We also socket in a skull in our amulet and diamonds in our rings. Remember to use incenses, as these greatly benefit your defenses. Redimembers is great to increase your maximum life, Soothing Spices can increase your resistances in armor, and Spiral Mourning is a good all-rounder. We want to use a bow and daggers for optimal attack speed breakpoints, but more on that later. We'll Temp Elemental Surge poison damage on one of our weapons to activate Alchemical Advantage. On our two-handed weapon, we want to use a G8 chance for Death Trap to hit twice Temper with a Masterwork Capstone bonus to reach at least 100%. More than 100% does not benefit us any further. For our runes, we will use Yul Jar for mobility and Zan Xan for more damage. Under high density speed farm conditions, Zan Quacks is the best theoretical DPS option. However, you will sometimes end up without energy due to Quacks consuming it. This can be mitigated by a few lucky hit restore energy affixes, but you will never fully get rid of it. The Shaco version is slightly less prone to run into this because of the higher energy pool and restoration. On our gear pieces, we focus on stacking up cooldown reduction and attack speed to reach necessary breakpoints. With Air of Perdition as our helmet, we need a GA Death Trap cooldown reduction temper and Masterworking Capstone bonus on it, in addition to 3 total regular cooldown runes on our gloves and rings. Further, we also pick up Death Trap cooldown reduction on Deadly Ambush in the Paragon. In the Shaco variant, you do not need the Death Trap cooldown reduction temper, and can instead opt to restore more energy due to also having a higher energy pool thanks to the maximum resource on Shaco. But you do need at least 1 GA cooldown reduction on either rings or gloves. In addition to these, you also need 12 ranks of Death Trap. You get 5 from the skill tree, 2 from Vehement Brawler, 4 from either Shaco or Air of Perdition, another remaining 3 from your gloves if you have either a GA on core skills or a Masterworking Capstone bonus. And if your gloves do not have this roll, or you do not have the Mythic Uniques yet, you can also use the Vex rune to get necessary skill ranks in combat. We also need to reach the 2 daggers 8 frame attack speed breakpoint of 130% attack speed. Whoa, that's really technical, but fear not. To reach 100% in town, you need 22.5 from Paragon, 2 times 22.5 and 1 times 17.5 from rings and gloves, and 15% from Elixir of Advantage. All of that puts you at the neat 100% attack speed in town. You get another 30% in Cap 2 from 2 passives, Alchemical Advantage, which is activated from our Elemental Surge temper we talked about earlier, and Haste for a total of 130 in combat. If you have even 1% too little, you won't be able to reach the 8 frames attack speed breakpoint, and you should use swords instead of daggers. If you're unsure, check out the sheet on the calculator that I've explained below. Ensure that you have preparation equipped as specialization. With it, every 75 energy that you spend reduces Death Trap's cooldown by 5 seconds. We aim to have a minimum of 150 energy, so that we need Death Trap's cooldown to be lower than 10 seconds. Locking this in is required, because consuming energy via preparation helps drive the cooldown reduction for Death Trap. Then we also need to have energy restoration on cast to get around 150 restored. Plus 25 via Beastful Boots, plus 35 from the Aftermath passive, and a total of plus 73 from ultimate skills restore energy on cast tempers, you'll get to 133. The aforementioned restoration methods are increased by your resource generation stat. This is around 13% with 430 strength. The math here is 133 plus 13%, which then equals out to 150. If you're unsure, check the all-in-one calculator. It is really easy to use and it tells you what to fix. If all of these line up, cooldown, energy, resource regeneration, and attack speed, you will unlock the full potential of Death Trap Rogue. Near endless casts, massive AoE, and high-speed clears. Optionally, at lower gear levels, you might pair Death Trap with a starter rotation, like Flurry to spend energy and Poison Trap to proc exposure more often, until you acquire the core unique gear. But for more info on that, check out the starter variant in the written guide on mobalytics.gg. In most cases, you will hold down Dash and Death Trap to fly through all content in the game. If you bind Dash to Shift and hold down Shift and your Death Trap button, you will automatically alternate between the two, creating a very satisfying combo loop. Your other skills are just there for various supporting or defensive buffs and can be spammed without interrupting the loop. Poison Trap, however, will interrupt the loop and is only there for bosses. Dark Shroud is maintained for its damage reduction, Concealment gives you guaranteed critical strikes and vulnerable application, and Shadow Imbuement powers up your dash to debuff the enemies with mixed Shadow Imbuement and to proc Eldritch Bounty. For bossing or pushing, add Caltrops and Smoke Grenade for more damage amplifiers and drop dash and Shadow Imbuement. In a slower paced environment, the time spent casting Caltrops and Smoke Grenade is worth it, while in faster clears, these buffs take too long to ramp up. You want to maintain the uptime of the damage multipliers, that new Caltrops overlapping old ones will preserve the ramped up bonus. Let's highlight a few of our skill tree choices. Other than picking up maximum ranks in Death Trap, there are a few passives that are very interesting to think about. The Ballastra passive gives us increased damage after a raid, which is amazing because we want to use Jar and the teleport that results from it very often. We also maximize Dark Shroud for damage reduction. And we pick up points in Shadow Imbuement to activate the mixed Shadow Imbuement synergy. 3 points in Alchemical Advantage are very important for our attack speed breakpoints. There is some synergy with Deadeye if we are hitting far away enemies. Frigid Finesse is proc through the Frostbitten aspect. And we utilize Haste for more movement speed and attack speed. Our key passive of choice is Exposure. Exposure procs every single time we score a lucky hit chance on a trapped enemy, which ultimately increases our damage by up to 100%. For our Paragon, we use Ambush on our starter board, Control on Leyrana's Instinct, Headhunter on Deadly Ambush, Versatility on No Witnesses, and Explosive on Eldritch Bounty. For the full Paragon board, a detailed skill tree and more in-depth information, check out the written guide on mobalytics.gg. So what has changed for Death Trap from Season 10? We have lost access to Chaos Uniques and the amazing Chaos perk hit and run, but instead we got Sanctifications. The overall power level of all builds went down by a bit, but the functionality of Death Trap is still the same, and it's even easier to gear due to Season 11, adding cooldown reduction as affixes on our gloves and rings. With a total of 4 affixes now, it's even easier to hit the breakpoints. However, Death Trap can still be as fast as before. It can even reach the insane speed that we saw in Season 10 with the Crazy Brew unique perk, through getting accelerating as a sanctified aspect. In general, you want to aim to get sanctifications to boost your damage. Getting utility affixes from sanctification does not really allow you to shift gear pieces around for anything better. So either aim to get a good offensive aspect or plain multiplicative shadow damage. These are your desired outcomes. So when and why should you use this build? If you are willing to farm up the gear and the aspects, then Death Trap Rogue brings unmatched speed and power. It is also much easier to gear than it was in Season 11. It's excellent for pits, speed farming, mass trash clear, endgame pushing and bosses. Any content in the game is a cakewalk for the fully kitted out Death Trap Rogue. However, if you're still in early game or you're building casually, it's simply not as easy to get going, and it does still require to hit multiple breakpoints. Also, if you don't really enjoy a spam heavy playstyle or you want more of a tactical based gameplay, the speed can feel nauseating sometimes. Alright blasters, that's the full breakdown of the Death Trap Rogue build. If you're willing to grind a bit for the gear and masterworks, this build will absolutely carry you through the endgame content with speed, power and consistency. If you're still new or leveling, don't stress. There are other rogue builds like Dance of Knives that are easier to gear and still solid. We also have a guide for that on Mobalytics, make sure to check that out. But once you unlock the core pieces, Death Trap really becomes a monster. If you like this guide, leave a like, comment what excites you the most about Season 11, and hit subscribe for more Diablo 4 content. I'll be streaming the season start and the Game Awards live on twitch.tv/Mippy. Stay sharp, stay nimble, and I'll see you there.